Welcome, coming at you live from New York. This is Spirit Matters. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Your daily Bhakti Center check-in. My name is Dal Gurunga, and this is a Gopi. That is a Gopi. You are a Gopi. This is I don't even know where my prefaces are going. You think I have a scripted introduction. I'm just rattling off all of the phrases that come to my name. Greetings from Dayal, Jiva's daddy. That's what Sydney. That's what Baldevi says. Yes, my name is Dog. Sydney, 31 degrees in East Texas this morning. God bless you. We have a live Zoom studio audience that joins us every day. And we're here. We made it. How are you, Chuta?
Sheltered.
Sheltered. Yes, she's sheltered. Great. Good to know. Glad that's all working out for you. We are reading the Bhagavad Gita because that's what we do every day here. We've been reading chapter 3. Do you want to do a recap this morning? I feel like maybe people might want to hear it from you. Or should I do it?
You should do it because you also had questions from yesterday.
I did have questions. Let's see if I can get back to where we recapped from. Recap. Third chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action. I think we still left off on verse 19. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. I remember where we left off. You were talking about the idea of not using not getting used to extreme language. Like either everything's working perfectly or it's all a mess. I'm executing everything exactly the way I should be, or I'm a complete broken failure. And reminding us of this idea that actually things aren't broken. I'm not broken. I'm actually right where I'm meant to be. Things are working the way they're meant to be working. And the question that I had was for you. And I asked at the end of it, it made sense. And you said it made sense. Let's see if I can make it make sense again. If you can recall is really, I mean, one of the things I think people love I've expressed appreciation about these conversations is when there's spiritual philosophy and there's wisdom from the Gita and reminders and all those good stuff. And then there's also when we share how it relates to us personally and we're honest. I think that that's an aspect of the podcast that people appreciate. So I'm always thinking about how can we ask personal questions that bring this alive for us, or where did this intersect with our life? And my question for you was, because I think I had said something yesterday. I was like, I'm still a broken mess, And you're like, can we not use the word broken anymore? Like, we're not broken. And I was like, because I have a tendency to think that my life's a broken mess, or that I'm this, or that I'm that, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I'm behind, or etc. And I'm wondering if there was a turning point for you in your life where, or still are maybe times in your life, how do you take yourself out of that? And was there a time where you did feel that things were broken, but you made a shift or made a decision? And what did that look like for you? What does that look like for you to put that into practice and make that shift?
Well,
And what's your biggest mistake and failure that you regret? I'm just
actually,
joking about that one.
I was gonna ask you, how did we get, like, how did we get to the point where we decided our lives were broken?
Social media.
Is it?
I guess we've been doing it before that. I mean, it's just easy to blame
I'm just
everything on
wondering, like,
social media.
were we fine before social media? Was everyone just
Everything
fine?
was beautiful.
Like, what what were the series of events that happened where we got to the point where we decided that we were and more than just, I do feel like it usually probably comes from a string of disappointments, but how did we go from being disappointed to now like broken? Because that brokenness, I guess that the language to me kind of implies a connotation of almost like being unable to be fixed. It's almost like when we start to use that language, it's like we're a broken mess, and it's almost broken beyond repair. So how
Irreparable.
do we get to a point where maybe we were disappointed or something, and we started to feel as though, okay, maybe life isn't working out the way we thought, and then it graduated from not working out the way we thought to feeling like, okay, maybe I'm a person who needs repair. And then how do we move from needing repair to now broken mess beyond repair? Because that seems to be a really like harsh shift.
Yeah. What's interesting, when I use the word broken, I don't use it in the connotation of beyond repair. I see
Mm.
it as in need of repair, in need of like um it's like in 12-step programs, the first step is admitting that you're powerless over something and that your life has become unmanageable. And then the second step is coming to believe that a power. Why am I muting unmuting here? There, oh, it's my microphone. It's me. Problem was me. I'm broken. I'm sorry. Um, Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. And then the third step is to, um, you know, turn ourselves over to the care of that higher power as we understand it. And so there's that step process. That first, it begins with the feeling of, we'll use the word brokenness, but depending upon how we define it, or in 12-step terms, it's powerless, meaning that like there's a phrase in 12-step world, my best thinking got me here. And so there's the idea that my best thinking isn't necessarily going to get me out of here. And you look at that in the context of Arjuna, his best thinking got him. Like he's going round and round and round. It's like he's like, I'm not going to fight, but what do you think I should do? It's like he still isn't able to like trust his own judgment of what he should do. And he feels my best thinking has gotten me to confusion, and I need someone outside of myself to assist me in realigning to where I want to go. And so for me, I don't see it as broken beyond repair, but I see it in terms of like I'm like, I love it also so much of like Gorvani's beautiful song Surrender. If you don't know, Gorvani, musician, has this beautiful song Surrender, um where he says the opening line is 30 long years have doing it my way have got me here, you know? And it's kind of like, I'm ready to think differently about myself. I'm ready to think differently about life. I'm ready to be guided. I'm ready to be lifted up. Um, and so that's sort of how, when I use the phrase. And so I do think that it's important, a really, really salient point that you're making becomes sometimes like self-effacing sentiments are the flip side of, can be self-indulging in a way where it's just like, there's the story of Srila Prabhupada when someone was in a class and they were saying, I'm so fallen, I'm so terrible, I'm so, I'm the worst. And it's like, you're not the most anything. I'm the most fallen, I'm the most broken, I'm the most this. It's like, you're not the most anything. you know because it becomes this sense of like, I think it's when we identify with the brokenness that we run into real trouble, as opposed to realizing, okay, I want to do things differently. So I found it interesting when you're talking about brokenness as in terms of in need of repair or beyond repair.
Yeah, because I think confusing brokenness and powerlessness, those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
Babies are powerless. Doesn't mean they're broken.
This baby's
Just
broken.
means yeah, it just means that they're surrendered. Like babies are functioning the way they function. They are made to be completely dependent. So now, do we then start confusing dependence with broken? Do
Hmm.
we start associating all of these things with surrendering to, okay, I have to come to the broken place? Or is that our ego speaking? Is that our ego saying, you know what, this makes me, this powerlessness makes me feel like I am completely broken. And sometimes, you know, we do have to have a breakdown of the ego, but it doesn't mean that we are broken. It may mean,
Breaking down of the ego doesn't mean we're broken. Write that down, Kimberly. Put that in the takeaway. That's a good one.
I think it may mean that we are understanding the true nature of what we are, which is dependent. And we often come into this place, into this material world, into this life, into this society, whatever else, thinking that we should be completely independent. And the truth of things is that we simply aren't. We are never going to be completely independent because there are things that are bigger than us. And so sometimes I have decided to stop looking at things in terms of broken or not, simply just because it just wasn't best for me. Um, it was on the harsher side of the spiritual diet, and it was not working for me, because it still seemed rooted in this place of fear. Well, if I'm broken, then somebody's got to fix me before I, or will God still like me if I'm broken? Or all of these things, you know, there's a, in the chat, there was a point. Um, we are taught that love must be earned and to seek love from everyone. So when someone doesn't like us or care, we're feeling judged and less than all over again. The interesting thing about Krishna consciousness is that you don't have to earn Krishna's love or care. He already loves you, he already cares. And then we push and pull against this thought process for much of our lives. Well, God couldn't possibly love me the way I am. Yeah, why not? Why not? Sometimes it is just as simple as that. And it is just as simple as that for everyone, even people who have done atrocious things. We actually do not have to earn the love and care of Krishna. It's already given it. Because Krishna is not looking at us depending upon which body we are in. Krishna is looking at us in terms of a soul, in terms of, that is my soul, my friend, my person. Krishna is looking at us in terms of our eternal constitution. So when necessary things have to happen, when necessary universal judgments have to be passed, because you don't have to earn God's love, but the universe is set up in such a way that atrocious people don't get away with committing atrocious behavior. So people, souls, don't normally just get away with committing atrocious behavior. But that doesn't mean that that is God's judgment. It means that there are checks and balances within the universe. If a person commits a crime and they get judged in court by a judge, you don't just think, oh, that judge hated me. No, it was the law. And you kind of knew it was the law. And so, but at the same token, when things happen to us in life, we're like, and God hates me. I knew it. Um, but it's just the law of things. It's law. Doesn't
It's like
mean
you're
that
getting,
God
it's
hates.
like you break into a store and you cause havoc, you burn down the post office, you get arrested. Like, why does everybody hate me?
Yeah,
Why do these people hate me? It's like,
right.
no, we don't
They
hate you. We
kind of
just,
know. They kind of understand. They're like, oh well, I didn't get
why
away with
does
that one.
God hate me?
But I think what confuses us is when we feel as though, but I've done absolutely nothing. How could this have happened to me? And I think sometimes we have to watch that fine line of where karmic laws are occurring and where we are sabotaging ourselves. Sometimes there are karmic things that happen, and so we get disappointed. Um, but we have to be careful about carrying those disappointments for far too long. When we carry around all those disappointments and we carry around the baggage for far too long, we do start to look at ourselves differently. We start to believe the illusion. And I think even, all of us have done it. We've believed that maybe we aren't likable, that maybe we are broken, that maybe because things haven't worked out in our favor, that things might never work out in our favor. But there are some amazing things here. Um, the question is, will God still like me if I'm broken? God loves you anyway because you're actually not broken. Like, you're functioning the way you're made to function, which is you're not broken, you're just dependent. You're not broken, you're just powerless. And we hear this analogy that we should often chant like a child crying for its mother. Babies aren't broken, they're just powerless. They're just kind of, they're doing their thing, like the way they were set up to work. And so it is for all of us. But I kind of, I needed, years ago, I was reading a book by Gabrielle Bernstein, and she just kind of made a point, like, look at your emotions throughout the day. Stop during the day and think about how many times you feel afraid, you feel stressed out. I started looking at it, and I kind of realized that a lot of times during the day, there wasn't even a catalyst for it, but I was going through the day with like a knot in my stomach, feeling the sense of dread, feeling the sense of fear, like, oh my gosh, and here we go. I was like, wait, why? There wasn't even a catalyst for it. And I kind of started to feel like, okay, I want to change that. I don't want to keep going through the day with this unknown, unplaceable fear, anxiety, doubt, depression, all of the. Why am I doing this to me? Because no one else was causing it. It wasn't all of the situations and all of the things, and because there will be an endless amount of stimuli. Right, later on, we will get into the analogy of ripples in a pond. Krishna will bring up all of the outside stimuli as ripples in a pond. But if you can remain calm throughout all of the stimuli, then we'll really be like getting towards transcendence. And I was kind of looking at all of these ripples. I'm like, what is making all of these ripples? It's me in the tug of war with my mind. So when my mind likes to say, we're broken, I then have to use my intelligence. I then have to tap into the knowledge that is held deeply within my soul and remind myself and my mind we are not broken, just powerless, which actually puts us in the best position for Krishna to come in. Arjuna wasn't broken, he was just powerless. And that's what Krishna was waiting for. He's just waiting for you to ask for help. Just waiting for you to turn to me and say, hey, I don't think that I have the capacity to do this whole thing right here, whether it's life, whether it's our own internal battles, whether it's an external, whatever it is. Not having the capacity to do something doesn't mean that we're broken.
I love the last thing you just said. Not having the capacity to do something doesn't mean that we're broken. And I think also, I remember I was living in the ashram with somebody, and one of the people in the ashram mentioned, it was just like every day my my conception of what I thought life is supposed to be like is cracking, you know. And like I think that also what breaks isn't is is the idea of what we think our life is supposed to be like. And when we identify with that, it feels like we're breaking. But if we can separate ourselves from that, because I was thinking back, you referenced these verses yesterday. The first verse, Krishna's first instructions in the Gita, chapter 2, verses 23 and 24. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by any fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable. Achedya, the word Krishna uses, unbreakable. This individual soul is
And he said it
unbreakable. He
before
said it.
Beyonce.
He said it. And
Before Beyonce.
insoluble.
I just want to say God said it before Beyonce. All I'm
God
saying,
said it before Beyonce.
this song was a hit 5,000 years ago. And it was a song.
Boom. Christians should get copyrights and royalties. Unbreakable, insoluble, can neither be burned nor dried, is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, and forever the same. Next verse goes on to say, the soul is a survivor, not going to give up. Not gonna, you
Not
thought I'd
gonna
be weak
stop.
without you, but I'm stronger. You thought I'd be broke
Right?
without you, but I'm richer. I'm a
Exactly.
survivor, not gonna give up, not gonna stop. I'm gonna
I'm
work
gonna work hard.
harder. I am the soul.
See, now I remembered those lyrics without having to look them up, and that's a problem.
I need to look them up. But so then moving on. What so then and then what's happening is so let's get that there. Because another word that was coming to my mind often was the word damaged. This word damaged comes up, and this also in my own anyways, we're running out of time here. But I think that for me, the takeaway here before we turn it over to Kimberly to wrap it up for us, what I'm appreciating and getting from what you're saying is because I'm also thinking about people that are listening. I'm thinking about people that I speak to. I'm thinking about people that are going through things in the world, people who are struggling with either this feeling of being broken, this feeling of God has abandoned me, this feeling of nothing ever works out for me, this feeling of, does God hate me, or etc. And thinking about the idea that actually I'm just running up against the idea of being powerless, yet trying to control the way everything happens in my life. When a powerless, dependent, and inherently someone who's powerless to control life circumstances, who's dependent on powers greater than myself, tries to play the controller of life and force things to go a certain way, I'm naturally going to run up against disappointment. Like you said, I'm naturally going to run up against this feeling of things because I'm trying to hold something together that I don't have the power to hold together. And that feels like brokenness. But I'm actually unbreakable, insoluble. My soul is actually immutable and eternal. And rather than trying to force myself to be where I think I need to be, it's really that surrender experiment, if I can use the phrase, of allowing God to place me where I think I'm supposed to be, and rather than forcing life to try to look like the way I think it needs to look. And that really is the source of so much feeling of brokenness, anxiety, fear, frustration, disappointment, et cetera, et cetera. Not easy, but at least I can understand what's going on.
And I've started to use language which is more true, less exaggerated. So now sometimes instead of saying I'm broken, I start to say what I'm really feeling. Right now in this moment, I feel disappointed. I'm healing. I feel hurt. And none of that excuses us from actually doing the healing. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't heal. Doesn't mean like, oh my God, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. And that's the thing. It's like versions of wrong and right. Maybe there was nothing wrong, but maybe we did need healing. Maybe we did need comforting. Maybe we did need a different perspective. So it doesn't excuse us from healing, but it does excuse us from such exaggerated language, which can be damaging to our intelligence, because the mind loves to fixate on that. The mind loves to grab on and latch on to it, hold on to it for dear life, until it becomes our new identity. Land of the misfit toys. But there were so many of them. So maybe not misfits. They fit somewhere. And we all have an unbreakable relationship, unvanquishable relationship with Krishna. First canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a purport where Srila Prabhupada says we all have an unvanquishable relationship with Krishna. So maybe we start to remember that. Like I said, no, that doesn't excuse us from healing. But maybe the truth is that we are just healing. We sometimes, if we can't be the star of our own show in the best way, right? If we can't see ourselves as the main character, then we'll see ourselves as the main villain. And if we can't see ourselves as the main villain, then we'll see ourselves as the most damaged, most broken person that there is in this story. And it goes back to what you said, I'm the most fallen. Srila Prabhupada says, you're not the most anything. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also writes about this point a lot, about how this can be another form of egotistical self-indulgence. We start to use that, and it becomes another way that we get stuck in who we are, instead of realizing that, wait a second, I am a soul. I'm a soul with a beautiful eternal relationship with the supreme divine person. Nothing can ever or will ever change that. I'm a soul who is at my core, honestly, really looking for love, looking to give love, looking to receive love. That is what's happening. Sometimes my attempts at looking for love have been frustrated. And so sometimes we are not broken, we are frustrated. And we see it with kids all the time. They stomp their feet and all this stuff. We tell them, okay, now you've got to use your words. Now we've got to put some words to these emotions. You're not broken. You're not. Sometimes we're just frustrated, disappointed, hurt by the longing. Okay, but let's start being truthful, and let's stop allowing the mind to take all of these words and things and hold on to them with your, okay, now this is our new identity, and this is how we can become the star of this show, by being the most broken person that there's ever been. No, thank you, mind. I don't want to be the main character that way. I want to remember that I am the main character in this show because Krishna has made it so.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to turn to Kimberly to wrap it up for us, Kimberly, with a few takeaways. Then we'll have some closing words to take along with us. What you got for us today, Kimberly?
Thank you so much. Today we're taking away that having a breakdown of the ego doesn't mean that we are broken. It means that things are working exactly as they're supposed to be. Our souls are unbreakable, and not having the capacity just means that we're powerless to control life circumstances and dependent on powers greater than ourselves. And lastly, we don't have to earn God's love. We have an unvanquishable relationship with Krishna, who already cares for us as we are.
Beautiful. Thank you. Closing word, Achyuta?
Just that I'm always sheltered because Krishna is not judging me based on my current circumstances or my current capacities. Krishna is looking and remembering, that's my friend who has done service for me before, service that I will never ever forget. We have done amazing things for the Supreme Person that the Supreme Person will never forget. Maybe we've forgotten them, but Krishna never ever will. So I'm always sheltered. I just have to remember.
Thank you. I'm thinking of this reframing of when life feels broken, rather to just ask myself the question, what's not working right now? You know, broken, in need of repair, as opposed to broken beyond repair. And rather than feeling, because I know that I'm not broken, I have my identity as a soul, but clearly something's not working right now. You know, the way that I'm approaching life, or the way that I'm trying to get something out of life, the way that I'm doing it right now on my own, separate somehow from Krishna, is not working. So I owe it to myself, rather than dumping on the judgmental language about myself, about life, about other people. You're so this, you're so that. I have this thing in my mind with my wife that, like, anytime I begin a phrase that is "you're so," I know it's not going to end up productive. You're so okay. That never goes well. You know, anytime any phrase "you're so," anything that begins with "you're so," never goes well. You're so this. You're so mean. You're so blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, that's stories just getting in the way of stuff. And so, rather than dumping on the judgmental language of other people, of myself, of life, just rather, what's not working right now, and allowing myself to step back and then reapproach things in a way that might work better. So I appreciate that. I'm going to try to do that. And it's Friday. It is Friday. So please have a great weekend. We will not have podcast tomorrow, the next day, but we'll back next week. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.